Welcome to TF3 Airport. Is what? 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 They say what we famous for. That's why I'm taking y'all on this verbal tour. First stop, Providence Place Mall, 3 floors of stores to shop for you and yours. Don't have a ride, you can take the Ripper. Anywhere you need to go, the bus will get you. Cranston, Warwick, even Newport, Kennedy Plaza, where you can find the ice court. Y'all know Brown University, famous. J-Dub, PC, you alright? Famous. Students from everywhere come here to go there. The capital's Providence, Dante is in your ear. Home of the Blue Bug, Iggy's and Thayer Street. Full of stores to shop or places you can eat. Near there is downtown P-Pack, enjoy a show. The Dunk Water Fires, other things you need to know. Can't forget Fat Hill for real. He got his, I like how he edited and set up things, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in again. Our second lady. We'll let them fight and figure out who was the first lady. Because you don't know when it was recorded. It's when it was played.
Oh, wow.
But you don't have an idea. But you can find her in the conversation.
Real ladies don't fight each other.
Whatever. Anyway, cat fight. Yeah! Welcome to the other side of things. I'm your host, Dante Martin. And today we with someone special, one of Keen's friends. Allowed us to come in and invade her privacy. So we're going to allow her to let you know who she is.
My name is Neda Sami Rotundo, and yeah,
Wait. Say that last name again.
Sami Rotundo.
Say that again.
Sami Rotundo.
Slow down and say it.
Is it like you need the full government? You need me to spell it out?
No,
and...
say it like they like says a what?
Neda Sami Rotundo.
Okay. What does that mean?
It's literally just my last name and my husband's last name put together. Okay. Because when we got married, we both hyphenated it and combined it.
Nice. You know what? I think about taking my wife's last name when I get married. That's a long ways from now. But anyway.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
do
show.
Whatever you want. Thank you.
Well, one of the things that Keen was telling me in the conversation is that you're from the same place that my barber's from. I mean, not my barber, excuse me. Rewind. Sneaker junkie owner, co-owner. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Shout you out. And that's something we're going to address. But one of the things that caught my attention is you have a book. But before we get there, let the people know what you would want them to know about you.
Sure. I think the biggest thing is that I'm a creative writer, but I'm also a teacher and a mom. I've been in Rhode Island most of my life, since 1990. So I grew up here, and I am like just a very rooted, proud Rhode Islander. And yeah, it just kind of, I think, trickles into everything that I do is like everything to do with Palestine will like kind of interweaves itself into like my identity as a Rhode Islander too. So that like it's just kind of like different because other Palestinian Americans that I meet, they don't like go as hard for like Rhode Island or for the other, I think, like places where they live.
Why do you think that?
I just think there is always kind of like an in-between, a push-pull for immigrants, right? Where it's like half of your heart is somewhere at home and half of your heart is here.
Sound like black people.
Yeah, and I definitely like...
Are we Africans or are we Americans?
Yes. Yeah. No, it's all...
How are we
there's
African
a lot of parallels.
We've never been to Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can go off on that history for a long time too. Like, I mean, there's so many parallels. For sure. But I just think it's like, I think I started to find my way and not feel as scatterbrained when I finally was like, oh, this is my home. Like, Rhode Island is home to me. And it's like, the more rooted I felt here, it's actually the more rooted I felt also in Palestine.
So, you moved here when you was what?
6.
6 years old. But I know you went back and visited.
I've never been to Palestine, but I went back to visit Jordan. To my father's side in like 2021, so fairly recently.
So you have more roots here than you do there.
Yeah, but like as soon as kind of like the plane enters that airspace, I feel like, oh, like even though I have literally more lived experience here and I feel like calm and I'm at home here, it's like a different feeling of home going over there. It's like I felt like it's like a very deep, like, oh, I can be comfortable here.
Right.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of interesting because so as a child, it's like me moving up here from New York. When I moved up here, I moved here on my 10th or 11th birthday. My mother tricked me. I still owe you one.
Oh no.
Yeah, she was like, it was on my birthday, so we come out here. I'm thinking that the state house was.
That's shiesty.
Now, you can't be. Sometimes our parents, we might not understand. She wanted a better living for us. And I think that move actually made me a better person, a better human being. So to be 46 now, I think it was a great move. So that's why I'm asking, like, to come up here when you was 6. And then it's like, going back, it's like, how much of a time did you spend there to even have a rooted or a form of an identity there?
That's so interesting that you're saying that, yeah.
You researched enough to feel a connection.
It's not something. I mean, yes, sure, there was research, but it's not something. It's like in my bones. Like it's not up here. It's like in my body.
In your heart. Okay.
And it's like this is what's interesting to your situation when you moved when you were 10. How did you feel about it at the time when you were 10?
Well, at the time, I'm like, what do you mean this is our home? Because again, I moved to Smith Hill, so I was in this all WP area. White people, and then I'm like coming from Dominican, Puerto Rican, Rastafarians, Jamaicans. It was just it was a culture shock, and so every chance I had a chance to go back, I went back until my mother said, "If you don't get back, I'm gonna disown you." And I was like, "Okay, I can't have you disown me. I might need you for financing purposes." But that's the only reason why I came back. But other than that, it's my root. So it's like I still have an identity there because when I went back, I still was old enough to do my own thing when I was out there. Even when I went back at 22, I was still doing my own thing. So that's why I was saying, how's the difference of you didn't like go and do the experience of your own thing. You probably went in and out.
Yeah, well, I went to Cairo when I was 20 for 6 months for a semester. I went as a study abroad student, and that was actually like against my mom's like wishes. I told her I was applying for the scholarship. I told her like I want to go back, and she was just like, I wish you wouldn't. This isn't something I like support for you. You're not gonna know how to survive there. Mainly based off of her experiences, just being like a woman by yourself. And I'm like, I'm going as a student with like there'll be a group. There's like dorms. There's a whole university. Like I'll be fine. And it was kind of like more like, oh, you know, you're going from Little Rhode Island to Cairo, which is one of the biggest, most populous cities in the world. But it was like fine. And mainly because like if you put me in New York, like I would have a hard time because it's like overstimulating. People are moving really fast. In Cairo, it's bigger than New York, but people are moving slow.
And they have a better demeanor.
Yeah, everyone's chill and it was just, So I did get to do my thing there, and I had my little group of friends that, you know, we'd all like hang out and go out together and go out to eat, and we just like had our little vibe and our routine. So that was amazing, and it was life-changing, and I think it made me root in a different way, but it also did point out how different I was from them, because I didn't grow up with resources going back and forth every summer. And that's why I was asking you, like, how did it feel when you were 10? Because it's like, how it felt for me when I was 6 versus how it felt for me when I was older is different. Like, you look at your parents' decisions differently at those ages, you know? And that's, like, a huge theme of the book, right, is, like, I talk about when I first moved here when I was 6, I had no idea it was permanent. I didn't know I was staying. I was under the impression that it was just kind of like, we're visiting, and maybe after, like, to learn English, and in like a year or two, I'll be back. And I thought the same thing, so it's amazing. Yes, the connections are huge, and it's just like, you know, I was in a position where I was like, through the process of writing the book, I like got myself back into like my inner child mode. And that's what really uncovered all these layers for me, because it was like, oh wow, I forgot that's how I felt when I was 6, 7, 8 years old.
Right. So, people, what we just did, we translated it to what she was when she was 6 years old to where she is writing her book. So we're going to parallel those two. So how could we do this transition? So basically, so as we know, you moved here, but you were still rooted. That's still your, what's the word you want to say? Your foundation. That was your foundations. We don't forget our foundations. What's important. So you put that foundation on paper, and you was able to identify yourself from where your foundation was to where you was building yourself, developing to becoming the person that you are today. So even though you didn't live there, you still have the root of that place to develop you to become who you are right now. Because if you didn't have that root, who would you be raised in Rhode Island? Would you be the same person?
Absolutely not.
Right. See, we know that. So how do you get people to understand what you just said in a book when they actually reading that book?
I put myself in that mindset of like what life was like in the body of like my 6-year-old self, my 7-year-old self, my 8-year-old self. So like, what if like all those sensory details, like what I was seeing, what I was feeling, what I was smelling, just like back in that scene, and like
she's a teacher, that's why she's
and how it feels like in the body. And that was like that was a huge, I think, thing that came through with the writing, is like, if I can imagine it, then like I can translate that on paper.
It's amazing because we got a lot in common. We was born somewhere else, moved here young. We're both authors. That's what was intriguing.
Yeah.
That's why when I was on your Instagram, because I know the process of writing. And it's like when you writing and you trying to translate your feelings and emotions, but you trying to make it for everyone else. Because that's one of the things that people kept saying is, one of the things I love about your book, you didn't tell me how to think. You gave me avenues to explore on my own. And that's what the whole purpose of it is. That's why I'm trying to get you to express to the people. Because when they read your book, do you think that most people miss what you was trying to tell them?
No, I think what the comments I'm getting a lot is, it's like you took something individually that happened to you, but it's still relatable in this bigger way.
So explain that. How did you make it relatable? For those that didn't read, make it why they should want to read.
Absolutely. It's definitely an immigrant story that most immigrants in the U.S. can relate to. That feeling of kind of like that process of first coming here and like everything being new and like developing your like identity over time. But I would also say even people who aren't necessarily immigrants can relate, because like the way that you are when you're a child and the way that things are new, or you express yourself, or interacting with the schools and interacting with friends and all those little like very like daily, regular, mundane moments.
Right.
But how they actually end up meaning so much more.
Good. So do you find yourself incorporating your book with your students?
So not currently, but I would encourage other teachers to.
Like, here's your chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you're like teaching English or history, social studies, anything like that, for one thing, the biggest like commentary I'm getting right now, which like I did not write this intentionally knowing October 7th was going to happen. So let me get that out of the way first, is that my book literally came out 2 weeks before the genocide.
Okay,
so it was like I went from thinking like I'm on this individual journey as an artist, and I was like excited and like proud of myself for like completing this like life dream of like finally getting a book out, and it was more like the energy was like, oh, me. And then October 7th happened, my whole perspective just blew open. And it was like, oh my God, like it was kind of like something was activated, like my DNA was activated to be like, oh, that's your mission in the world, like this is so much bigger. And it's like, I hate when, and I know this is a thing in like the artist world and like the writing world, when people are like, read Palestinian authors, because it's like, it shows you like the humanity and they're human and they're people. And I'm like, I'm not even on that level. Like that shouldn't even be the question of course we're human. Like that's not even like, don't even bother me with that. It's more like there are there are aspects of like the things that we experience and the trauma we experience in our life that make us who we are, but it's just like, how do we use that trauma? How? So I like very much like got in touch with all of those aspects of different parts of my life and all the trauma that I collected over the years, and my goal was to transmute that or alchemize that and like, you know, just kind of like turn it into something bigger than what happened to me. So that's why it is important for teachers. It's a good example for teachers to like use that in their classroom. The biggest thing is I'm a very impatient reader, so that like translated to me when I was writing this, it's like I kind of put me in the mode if like I was a bored teenager, right? Like how do I get this across, entertaining, quick, in and out. So the chapters are short and sweet, powerful but like short, you know, kids won't be like I don't get it, you know. It's very easy to read, it's very easy to grasp. There's layers of it. It's one of those things that you can read one chapter 2 or 3 different times and get something different out of it each time. So there's like tons of that available for teachers to like dig into.
I love when I meet somebody that have so much to say. So let's do this, right? All right, because you said something that I want to address. I think the biggest problem, I have this saying where I says the problem with the society is the miscommunication of perception. It's like when you're born somewhere else, you have a perception of how you see life because you was born in a place that other people wasn't born. And when somebody's born somewhere else that wasn't born there, they thinking that, oh, that's nothing because they wasn't there. Like, let's look at it today. Like what we can look at right now. Like, what's going on in Ukraine right now, what's going on in Gaza. We're not there. And because we wasn't born there, we thinking that, oh, that's just nothing or whatever. And what happened if it was happening here? How would we feel? So it's like to try to belittle or say that that's not big enough or it doesn't have any meaning, I think is doing a devalue to what's actually going on. Because eventually, if something is happening outside of your country, what make you think it ain't gonna eventually happen to your country?
Yeah. That's huge. I mean, the biggest thing I would say, even for those people who still don't understand how what's happening in Palestine is important to Americans, is bottom line, we're funding that. Our taxes are going there. Not on the what is it, the Washington Bridge, not on 195, okay? Calling it out.
For those that don't know, over there where I live, we have a bridge where the traffic is crazy. It's like LA traffic right now trying to get out of East Providence or Seekonk area. So that's what she's speaking of.
And the feds have to get involved, right? Because it's like literally it was just someone's cousin's like company that was supposed to construct it, didn't do a good job. Very typical Rhode Island thing that happened because they're trying to save money. And it's like, that wouldn't be an issue if billions weren't going overseas to fund genocide. That did not start on October 7th. That's been happening, you know, since the big Nakba in 1948. So it's like, the U.S., I hope people understand, is an empire, and empires have, like, right, like land and holdings and bases all over the world that we're paying for as taxpayers. And it's like, do we really need to be putting our energy over there when look at all the needs we have here? It just doesn't make any sense. So even if people are sort of like turned off by, oh, this is too overwhelming, or I don't really understand, and like, what's the history here? It doesn't matter. Like, you work hard for your money. You should feel comfortable living here, like where you live. Like, people are hurting right now. The homeless population is surging. It is out. Like, I've never in my life seen Providence like this. Like, it's completely needless. You know, it's completely needless. And it's like people aren't addressing the issues here because they're just like, oh, we'd rather put billions over there. And it's like, people here need healthcare. People here need like rent prices to stop rising. People here need, you know, support. So, yeah.
I want to get your input on this. You're going to be the first person to ask this question. I was doing some research. Anybody in this room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I was doing some research, I found out Rhode Island alone made $100 million in resale in 1 year.
I believe it. And how many years did they stop it from being legal?
So it's like, see, when you have, one of the reasons why, and this is why this show exists, the other side. It's like we're having conversations to open dialogue, because it's like when people want to have questions, they're like, oh, why this wasn't said, why wasn't that said? Again, you're not going to be able to cover a life journey in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. We're covering what we could cover at the point to get conversation started. This could be part 1 to the part 2 to the part 3 or part 4 and everything. Like I said, she's a teacher. She's very familiar with her upbringing. She's very familiar with what's going on. And we're getting her side of the story. And that's basically what's happening. We get her side of the story, and if you like to tell your side of the story, you're more than welcome to tell your side of the story. You can tell it in the comment. You can tell it on your page and say, hey, I want to address Keem's project over there. And that Dante. But like, listen, we all about love, peace, stop war. Because like she's right, we shouldn't be funding something, especially if I'm paying taxes for the fixing of my roads and our roads and fixing of homes and everything, and money's going somewhere that I didn't even get. They didn't even ask me if I want my money to go there. Then it should be a problem, and a lot more people should be feeling a certain way. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. So we didn't address your teaching, like how long you been a teacher, and
yes.
And what made you want to be a teacher? So basically, we seeing you moved here from when you moved, 6 years old. How did that 6-year-old girl in Rhode Island say, you know what, one day I want to teach?
Yeah, that's really a cute question. So my grandmother was a teacher, and I'm just thinking about it. So like some people, like they choose it after they've had other careers. I was just one of those weird, annoying little kids who like always wanted to be a teacher. And I was like the oldest cousin. I was like 10 years older than everybody. So I was always like bossy, telling everybody what to do, and they listened to me. And I think I had some really good experiences with positive teachers that were like, very encouraging. So I was like, I want to help make someone feel that one day. So like my entire adult life, so I went to Rhode Island College, came out as a high school English teacher, like age 23, and I was given a classroom of like 14-year-olds as 23, and it was like amazing. And like those kids I'm still in touch with now, they're like in their early 30s, so it's wild. But yeah, I always wanted to be around young people. That's really where my vibe is at for sure. But also like to change society, to improve society, to better society, you have to start with the youth. So I've always like definitely felt that. I wanted to get into education, but in order to like change it and make it better.
Right. Y'all want to hear something interesting? 2 points. When Moses went to go get the Israelites, Pharaoh told him you could take the adults but leave the children. Mm-hmm. You know why, right? Because he knew he could have teach the children anything he wanted to teach them, and they would have never knew about their God. That's a Bible lesson later. And the other thing, you said something that I caught. I always challenge people, go to a kindergarten graduation. The last one I went to was my godson. He's now probably 18, but when he graduated, you always hear kids say, I want to be a teacher, firefighter, police officer, what's another profession? Doctor. What do you think they saying now?
Not that. It's so rare to have a young person say they want to be a teacher, and it breaks my heart. They're saying sometimes something cool like business owner, okay, cool, but like basketball player, rapper, like things also are cool, but like, no one's telling them like, all right, like how many percentage of the population actually will get to do that for a career. And there's so many other amazing options and choices. Right.
Y'all hearing this, kids? Listen, take it from me. I've been trying to be a rapper. I'm 46. I'm still trying. You want to go there? Nah, actually, the experience of get somebody that been in that field and hear their story, because you'll know it's not what you think it is. Believe me. Not all of them have money as you think they have. So don't think that you're going to get, because a lot of kids are looking for a way out of the situation that they're in. Yeah. That's why I don't like to judge children, because it's like, you don't know if their home is infested with drugs. You don't know what's been going on in their home.
You don't have any idea what the young people are going through at all. Yeah.
Because I used to be a counselor.
Yeah.
And One of the things that I learned, the first thing I learned in '99 when I met this kid, he was acting up, and I really didn't like to restrict kids because I didn't think that restriction really helped them. But when I said, you know what, you're not gonna go home this weekend, this was a street kid. He tried to attack me, and we restrained him. And the first thing he said was, "I just want to go home and see my mom." And from him saying that, all I thought was, I'm putting him right back in the environment that got him here in the first place. So how am I really helping these kids? Because they're coming to me, I'm helping them, I'm instilling in them something that their parents ain't following up on. So how are we helping them? How can we help these children nowadays? Because I know they are bombarded with so much information that telephones, laptops, social media, like how do we help? How do you tell the parents as a teacher how they can help their children? And your mom yourself, correct?
Yep. That's a really big one, I think, and I've had those conversations a lot over my life with parents being like, oh, he just gives us such a hard time, I don't know what to do, like I try to just like punish him all day, and it's like, yeah, that's not it. I just build a relationship, get to know them, understand it's like really young being hard, it's really hard being young right now because of all those extra like pressures, but they like learn from what you do, not from what you say.
Correct.
And it's like, just literally get to know them. They all have their own unique personalities and things that make them tick and things that they love, and just like spend that time together. Just literally slow down your family time together. Because I think we also live in a society, right? It's a capitalist society. Everyone is rushing. Everyone's hustling. Everyone's working however many hours. And it's like, yeah, are you spending time with the people that you love? Are you getting to know them? Do they trust you? Like, can they come to you in a crisis? And, you know, we had a situation when my son, who's almost 15 now, in kindergarten, right away we were facing, like, what racism is in a school system. We ended up pulling him out of that school halfway through because it was such an insane experience. But for the weeks leading up to it, I mean, I was teaching full-time, pregnant with my second son, and I was just kind of like on this path where I was like, it's kindergarten, what could go wrong, right? Like, he went to preschool, he had an amazing experience. So
everywhere. Your living room too.
Noise.
Oh, yo, Mark, get safe. So that camera's on.
That's yours.
That camera's on.
That's yours.
That camera's on.
I'll just trust the process, that's fine.
What do you mean trust the process? I trust that sunlight in my face. Did you see that, people? Look at this. I'm blind, babe.
We could put that down if you
That's
want.
part of the show.
Oh, okay.
You gotta do something funny. See, everything gotta be different. So you gotta put this in there.